Okay, give the viewers some feedback on your recruiting experience. I know that's one of the best times of being an athlete when you have schools that want you to come to their institution.
Oh man, that was I mean that's pretty cool, you know. I mean when you get letters from pretty much all the Big Ten schools, um, Nebraska, Tennessee, you know, some of them more interested in me than others. Northern Illinois, Louisville was pretty much interested. Indiana, Purdue. Um, it was just a nice time, you know. I used to take all the letters and put them up on my room door and like show them off, and everybody,
Yeah,
you know, come over to my house. They would
yeah,
see who was recruiting me and stuff like that. But I mean, it felt good, man. It felt real good just to know that you know, I can potentially have a full ride scholarship to a big school and not have to pay a dime.
yeah,
Was like, wow, it
yeah,
really was, you know, because you hear how much college education is, and it's like, well, you know, you're gonna be able to get an education from any one of these schools, and they gonna pay for it. So it was like, wow. And then, you know, um, taking the visits,
yeah,
you know, get my mother out of town more than
yeah,
anything. She had not been a whole lot of places, and you know, she had flew him down to Louisville, and you know, the trip up to Wisconsin, um, Michigan State. I visited. They only took 3 visits: Louisville, Wisconsin, and Michigan State.
wow,
And you know, just the recruiting process is like huge. You know, you seeing all these other players you were seeing on TV the prior year, and you know, you going out there showing you campus and campus life,
yeah,
the
yeah,
good and the bad, you know. But it was it was fun, man. I enjoyed it, you know. Young 18-year-old kid, you know, coming out of. I don't even think I was 18. I was just I had not even turned 18 yet. 17-year-old kid, you know, going to those places and you know, coming from East Chicago, and it was good, man. I
yeah,
really enjoyed it. Every bit of it, I enjoyed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you pressured into going to Division One? Because I say that real quick because I know when we played, we was it was pressure on us to go D1 because we want to feel like we was sorry. You know, although now it's different, but during that time, it was a lot of pressure on us to get a Division One scholarship. Did you feel the same way?
No, man, I didn't know what to expect out of football when I first, you know, started. Like I said, you know, Big Rob kind of set it off. You know, just the whole process of thinking like I can do it too. But it wasn't any pressure. You know, I just wanted to play hard every game, and you know, what came out of it came out of it. And you know, it was good that Big Rob was getting recruited. And then the year before me, Voice Love and Pink stuff, because they was coming to see those other players, and I just must have caught their eye. You
Gotcha.
know, so without those other players, I probably wouldn't win D1 because it's not like East Chicago had a well-known program where all the recruiters just want to see what's coming through Central every year. They
Yeah.
would come to see those players at that time and caught a glimpse of me. So, you know, no, it wasn't no pressure, man. I was just playing football and having fun and enjoying the success and stuff that we was having.
Okay. So you picked the University of Wisconsin.
Yep, no doubt, the
Why?
Badgers.
Why?
Well, you know, at that time, tell you the truth, I didn't even know Wisconsin was in the Big Ten, man. They kind of came and started
I see
recruiting.
the ring right there too.
Yeah, this is from the '94 Rose Bowl, and hopefully it bring them some good luck today on the 2012 against
Yeah.
them Oregon Ducks. But um, um, oh, Wisconsin. Yeah. Again, I didn't even know they was in the Big Ten at first, and again they started recruiting me late, but Coach E had told us like he was saying this Barry Alvarez that came from Notre Dame, he gonna be a good coach and that's gonna be a good program. And you know, I think Coach E knew Coach Kaz. Coach Coswell was a linebackers coach at the time at the UW, and I think him and Coach E may have crossed through in the coaching ranks back in Illinois Benedictine when Coach E was coaching out in Illinois and stuff like that. Because Coach Cosgrove and Coach Callahan and Coach Childress
Yeah.
had the Chicago area. You know, Coach Childress was the head coach of the
Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings,
Yeah.
and Callahan took the Raiders to the Super Bowl and ended up being the head coach at Nebraska for a
Wow.
few years. So they was all recruiting the area, and he just told us that this place was going to be big one day.
Yeah.
You know, just not now, but they was gonna be big, and we just didn't know how soon they was gonna be big. But it ended up being sooner than a lot of people thought. But Madison is it's a real nice experience, and just the recruiting process there,
Yeah.
you know, was real. It was real nice, man. They just showed us that they really wanted us, you know, just like the hotels they had us laid out in, and the stuff that they had in our rooms when we checked into the hotel. I mean, they had my mother and my stepfather in a whole separate presidential suite, you know, and they rode them around in limos, you know, and
That's crazy.
we had met Donna Shalala at that time was the chancellor at the UW, and she ended up being the Secretary of Human Services to President Clinton and his cabinet. So I was seeing these people and these prestigious people and meeting them right here in Madison, and it's like almost everybody from our recruiting class came on that one weekend. You know, visited Wisconsin that one weekend, and we ended up having like the 8th or 9th recruiting class in the country that year, which was kind of unheard of for the University of Wisconsin, you know, to bring in that type of talent. So we were all there one weekend, like Carl McCullough, me and Royce was there, Tony Simmons, Reggie Torian, Daryl Carter, Pete Monty, Tarek Sala. I mean, almost my whole recruiting class was there that one weekend. It seemed we must have all just bonded that weekend in jail, and you know, all of us end up committing a short while later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give us some feedback on the competition now, because you went from being the man at Central, now you still
just a man with college, right?
Yeah.
It was tough at first because, you know, just like with track and football, I was just used to being the fastest. You know, when you get there, I wasn't the fastest. Not even like, you know, I can hold my own. But there was some guys that had some wheels, like a kid from Chicago named Kerwin Beatty. This kid ran like a 10.2 in high school. And you know, you had Reggie Torian and Tony Simmons. They came from Chicago too, and they was like respectively two fastest kids in the country coming to play football too. So it was
wow.
But it just, if you're a competitor, you're a competitor. So if I was gonna be competing and running against them every day, I was just making myself better. Cause I like to be just as good as the person that's next to me, no matter what it is I'm doing, education wise or athletic wise. You know, I'm a competitor, so it was good to have that competition there for me. And I think I got a lot better. You know, my freshman year there, and you know, all my years there, I got a lot better with the competition. But you just see, you know, different parts of the country where people was coming from to play football. Like, wow, it's like a lot of talent out there, a lot of talent, a lot of fast kids, a lot of big kids. I get to Wisconsin, I'm seeing linemen, it's like 6'7", 300 plus pounds. I wasn't used to seeing men that big.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know, and Terrell Fletcher was there, Brent Moss was there, Lee DeRamus. I mean, it was a lot of players there, and just in the Big Ten in general, you know.
Yeah.
Tyrone Wheatley was still tearing up Michigan State.
Oh man, yeah.
Eddie George was
at
at Ohio State. Joey Galloway, Terry Glenn. I mean, you had a lot of players in the Big Ten at that time. You know, so it was like, wow. You know, I was still kind of starstruck the first year, but I was still competing, you know, to play, because I know, you know, I was starting to see these college players around me. Just like I was saying in high school, oh, okay, well, you're not superhuman.
Yeah.
I know I can be just as good as you. You know, now I see what you can do. I know I can do that too.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So your first year at Wisconsin, you guys won the Rose Bowl.
Right.
Give some feedback on that experience.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, just starting off at the beginning of the year, me coming in individually, just again, not knowing a whole lot, not knowing what to expect, and I just know we went into camp and it was on. Camp was hard. We was doing 3-a-days. They had us in a remote location on the outskirts of Madison, and you know, we were getting 3 days in at the Holy Name Seminary, and you know, me still learning position, and they were really on me. Coach McMahon was the defensive backs coach at that time when I was at the UW, and he used to be on me a lot. I mean, a lot, and it was tough at first. I mean, even though we practiced hard when I was in high school, this college thing and what Barry Alvarez had going on there was tough, because he was really trying to weed out weak links on the team, and he was really trying to build a program in a dynasty. And as you can see, he's still doing it to this day. But I was there at the beginning stages, and uh, we went on a winning streak. We were doing well. Doing a non-conference, then we got into conference, and we were doing well. And remember a game we ran up against Michigan, Tyrone Wheatley, and they had Ty Law and Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually Elvis Grubach was the coach. Was the quarterback before Brady was at Michigan. But UW anyway had not beat them in years, Michigan, and we had them at home, and we beat them, and it was just like pandemonium, hysteria at Camp Randall, and get close to 90,000 people there, and they started stampeding the field, trying to get to the players and stuff like that, and I can just remember kind of being like terrified a little bit, like, man, no telling what's gonna happen. It's a lot of people. When you see that many people around you, and half of them was drunk at Camp Randall, so I was trying to get out of there, and I got to the locker room, and I say 5 minutes after I got in the locker room, coaches came in with like a look on their face like they seen ghosts, and they like, well, everybody got to get back out. Yeah. Like, why? They like, well, people out there smashed, and I'm thinking, I'm not going back out there, from Chicago. Whenever it's problems, you kind of want to get away from the problem, because, out here was pistol, people shooting, or it was, somebody getting whooped real bad, and it's like you want to go the opposite way. But we went out there, and like, it was crazy. People were crushed up under the gates, man. So much the student section, the rails that they had holding up the student section, just the way, if everybody pushing down at an angle like that, broke the rails out the concrete, and it was people walking along the track, and that rail fell on them, and all those people and all that weight was crushing those people. So they needed some football players to try to get out there and get those people from up under that rail. So that was the craziest thing in the world, man. And I remember seeing the girl that was, I just knew she was dead, but nobody died. She was like purple and black and everything. And I can remember a guy named Michael Brand made it to the Oprah show because he was helping saving people that game, whatever. But the next game we played Ohio State, and man, who Ohio State didn't have at that time. It seemed like they had everybody that was anybody in college football that year, and we ended up tying them. And we probably should have beat them. We kicked the field goal at the end of the game, and it got blocked. And we was driving. That last drive we was driving, we probably should have went for a touchdown and kept on driving with Brent Moss. But I'm not a coach, and I ain't gonna second guess what Barry was thinking at that time. But the kick ended up getting blocked, and we ended up tying Ohio State. And we only lost one game that year, and we lost to Minnesota Gophers. out of all the teams in the Big Ten that year, we lost to the Minnesota Gophers, and Darrell Bevel was our quarterback, and he was the offensive coordinator up there with the Vikings with Childress, and now he's the offensive coordinator in Seattle with what's the coach that just came? Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll,
came from USC, so he was the quarterback then, and he didn't. That wasn't one of his better games, and we ended up losing, but we ended up going to the Rose Bowl that year, and we ended up beating UCLA 21-16, and just that whole experience. But even before that, man, just that first year was probably the best year out of all my years at Wisconsin, because we also played in the Tokyo Bowl. We was in Tokyo, Japan, and we actually beat Michigan State to be able to get into the Rose Bowl. So you take me coming from East Chicago. At that time, here I am, Wisconsin D1, and we go to Japan. We go out to the Rose Bowl. My first year was like, wow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you really get to see that it's like a bigger world out there than East Chicago, when you go in Japan and you don't understand nothing they're saying. They got a whole different way of living. You go down to Southern California, you're in the Tournament of Rose. I mean, you're in the granddaddy of them all. I was just feeling real good, like, man, it was a dream, like somebody pinched me, wake me up, because it was a beautiful thing that year. Yes, it was.
Wow. For the remaining time that you had at Wisconsin, just give us some feedback on your playing time, and any thoughts on going pro and different things of that nature.
My career at Wisconsin pretty much, man, consisted of being a special team starter and a dime and nickel guy. I was always competing for a starting spot at boundary corner, and injuries kind of plagued me too. I mean, a hamstring, I pulled it twice at Wisconsin. Then the third time I tore, and that was pretty much it. My senior year. Really didn't return from that, but I can't go back and second guess my career and stuff like that. It was what it was. I enjoyed my time at Central. We went to a bowl game. Four out of my 5 years I was there, we went to a bowl game. So I was traveling somewhere during this time of the year, which is January, for a bowl game, and playing different teams. I played played UCLA in the Rose Bowl, Georgia in the Outback Bowl, played Utah in like the Copper Bowl. We played Duke one year in the Hall of Fame Bowl. But just seeing different people enjoying the bowl atmosphere, man, because just the gifts that you get from those bowl appearances, and just the time that you have with your teammate, and just to be able to have exposure to whatever city you in for whatever bowl game, was just it's just life, and being able to see things in life, and be able to do things and enjoy some things. So my time at Wisconsin was definitely in hindsight, it was definitely a good time. I mean, during times, when I was there, of course, I felt like I should have, started this game or started that game, or, been, looked at a little bit serious, more serious for starting certain games, But at the same time, I had my role, you know what I mean? And like I said, I always competed for a starting position, but pretty much started all special teams, and Damon, nickel guy, and I traveled everywhere with the team. So, and that was my career at Wisconsin.
When you was in high school, you was getting all the exposure from college coaches. Now I know in Wisconsin, I know the NFL scout probably every practice, every day. Did you have any interest with the NFL?
Well, I did, and again, that hamstring was just always a part, as far as physical, that hindered me from taking it to the next level. Because, at corner and defensive back, you really can't be out there with a bad will, because that's definitely a position where you have to have speed, So, yeah, I wanted to graduate, and I end up with a degree from that place. I can remember, and a few times I thought about transferring, but Coach Tom Halterman, I used to call him from time to time when I was at UW and talk to him about a few things. And this was like my junior year when I was really thinking about transferring to like Western Illinois or another school. And I called him and talked to him about it, and he was like, well, at the end of the day, when football is done, and it's done at a young age, he was like, you're going to have an employer, you're going to have this right here. It's going to say degree from whatever University of Western Michigan. Then you're going to have this piece of paper right here that's going to say whatever your degree is, University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Yeah.
It spoke for itself. He was like, that school right there has a lot of prestigiousness to it, It's a very prestigious school, especially academically. So he kind of, talked me down to staying there, because I was really thinking about leaving, because you just want to play. At that time, you just want to play. I'm seeing guys, going to the NFL every year.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I want my fair shot at it. I mean, we stacked here at Wisconsin. If it don't work, I need to go somewhere else, to make it happen.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was in my junior year by that time, and if it's going to happen, I feel, things are going. If it's meant to be, it's going to happen. It's just destiny on anything in life. And so I stayed there, and I left there with my degree, and that was like one of the most influential talks I ever had, and one of the best things that was ever told to me is like, man, they used you for 3 years so far. They've been using your body. You make sure that you use them for something, and you leave there with that degree. Don't leave there empty-handed.
Yeah.
And that was a power statement, man. Sitting here as a grown man now, and that, Carl, too. Your football career don't last long. I think the average football career is 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years and you're done, but that education
forever
carry you to the rest of your life. So I don't regret, anything, that happened at the UW. Again, I played with some great players, Brent Moss, Terrell Fletcher, Ron Dane, Lee DeRamus, all those linemen. I can name linemen for years from Wisconsin,
Yeah.
you know, but a lot of good players, you know, and I still have a personal relationship with a lot of these players. We still UW alumni, and at the end of the day, we're just all human beings, you know. Just their avenue on life went that way, my avenue went this way, you know. But we use that to better ourselves and to leapfrog ourselves into adulthood and to being successful in life. So, you know, but we all want to play. You know that at a young age.
Yeah.
Everybody think, you know, everybody think they supposed to be an NFL player.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, coming out of high school, he's like, everybody thought they should have been D1.
Yeah.
You know, but it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough to be a Division One athlete.
Yeah.
In general, it don't matter. It's football, basketball, track, whatever. It's tough. And then at that, you know, you gotta have, you know, the academics.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that was a plague. Like prior to my time at being at Central, probably with a lot of basketball players more than anything, is not, you know, having that academics, you know, to get to those bigger schools and to get into any school, you know. And I think if at that time, I think a lot of young guys that was in high school when I was in high school would have knew just having that opportunity to go to that next level, what that would do for their lives, you know, later on in life. It's just amazing. If they would have knew, I think a lot of them would have worked harder at it, you know, getting their academics and stuff like that down. Because it does make a difference to be able to, you know, get outside of East Chicago and see, you know, what's outside of East Chicago, you know. And again, I was fortunate that my athletic ability gave me that opportunity to just see exposure to the world outside of East Chicago. 'Cause East Chicago is small.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you know,
It
the
is.
size of the world. Like I said, I've been to Japan and back. You know what I mean? And like, really, from my house on Parrish, you can almost hold your breath and go through East Chicago Avenue and ride all the way through the middle of East Chicago, and you through East Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, but we always had a sense of pride here in East Chicago. So, you know, I think that's why we doing these interviews and stuff like now. It's just the history, and I think it's cool. You know, the history and the sense of pride, because you got to know where people have been before you know where you're going. You got to know something about the past, definitely.
Okay.